video, I'm going to teach you how to use the Vlookup, Xlookup function, when to use the Vlookup and Xlookup function, and why the Xlookup function is a better alternative. Now, showing right on my screen is an employee data set. So we are going to look up for an employee's salary using the employee ID. We are going to start off by using the Vlookup function. So the first thing I do is to impute my equals to sign. I then type in my Vlookup. The first thing showing on my screen is the lookup value. Now, what is the lookup value? The lookup value is the value you want to find. In this case, the lookup value is the employee ID. Recall, we are trying to look up for an employee's salary using the employee ID. So the lookup value is the employee ID because that is the data we are going to be searching with. That is the data we are going to use to find what we actually want to look up for. So that is why it's called the lookup value. So I go over to my employee ID and I pick any employee ID of my choice, and then I put in my comma. The next thing I'm seeing there is the table underscore array. Now, a table array is the range of data where Excel will search for the lookup value, in this case, the employee ID, and return the result. If you do not understand this, now think about this. Imagine you're looking up for a word in a dictionary. Let us say education. The word you search for is your lookup value. So education in that case is your lookup value. The entire dictionary where the words and their meanings are stored is the table array. Now, if you translate that illustration into this example we are looking at, this Excel file we are looking at, the word we are looking out for, or the word we want to search for, which is our lookup value, is the employee ID. And the entire dictionary is our entire data set where that lookup value is stored. So how do I go about this? I simply come to my employee ID. I press the Ctrl Shift down arrow key, Ctrl Shift right arrow key, and with that I have actually highlighted the entire data set. I put in my comma, and the next thing I'm seeing there is my column underscore index number. Now, the column underscore index number, it tells Excel which column in this entire table array, in this entire table data set, contains the answer you need. The answer we need is this employee salary. So which column index number is that? If you count it, it will be the fourth column index number, or the fourth column. So I simply impute my column index number, which is 4. I impute my comma, and the next and last thing there is the range lookup. It tells Excel whether to look for an exact match or an approximate match. I go with my exact match. I close the formula with a comma, and I press my enter key. Recall, the employee ID we chose to work with was this. So if I highlight it and I highlight the actual answer there, you will agree with me that the answer our VLOOKUP formula provided is correct. Now, what are the limitations of using a VLOOKUP formula? A VLOOKUP formula only searches for data only in the right direction. What does this mean? It means that if I want to search for a particular data towards the left, this VLOOKUP function will not work. Now, The initial thing was to look up for the employee salary using the employee ID. So the stuff we're actually looking for is towards the right, which is the what? The employee salary. If we twist the question and say, look up for an employee ID using the employee salary, I impute my VLOOKUP. This time around, my lookup value will change. It will now be the employee salary. I choose any salary of my choice. I come to table array and I highlight the entire data set. Then I put my comma. The column index number will no longer be 4. It will now be 1. Why? We are now focusing on the employee ID. I put my comma, the range lookup will be false, exact match, and I close it with a bracket. And if you see, we have an error to show that VLOOKUP does not work when you want to find values towards the left. But there is an alternative. The alternative is Xlookup. So let us use Xlookup to solve this problem. Now, I'm going to equal my X lookup, and this time around, we are going to look up for an employee salary using the employee ID. Mind you, Xlookup can find values either to the left or to the right, but I'm going to demonstrate for the right. You can always practice and check if it can actually work for the left. But if you do it correctly, it's going to work. So for the Xlookup, the lookup value definition remains the same. It is the value you want to find, which is what? The employee ID rather. I come over to the employee ID column and I pick any employee ID of my choice. I put in my comma. The lookup array is the column where Excel will search for the lookup value. In other words, the lookup array is the column where the lookup value is located. Now, the lookup value is located in the employee ID. So I highlight everything in the employee ID and I separate it with my comma. The return array is the column where Excel will fetch the answer. The column where the lookup value answer is located, which is the salary column. I come over to the salary column and I highlight everything there. Once that is done, the if not found, we could go with anything. For me, I prefer to go with unavailable, and the match mode, exact match, and search first to last. I covered it with my brackets, and there we have it. Recall that the employee ID we decided to go with was A10, which is this, and the answer or the salary in that A10 is 94,000 euros, which corresponds to the same value our Xlookup function gave us. So that is it for this video. If you're watching this video, I want you to try using Xlookup. Find the employee ID using the employee salary. Use any one of your choice to actually check if you can find values. So another thing you could also do is, if you're watching this video, if Xlookup can search both left and right, what happens if the lookup value isn't found? So these two questions, I want you to comment your answer in the comment section. The first question is, using Xlookup function, find the employee ID using the employee salary. So the lookup value here, I don't want to expose that. I don't want to tell you the answer, but I want you to try it out. Use any one of your choice and actually check if you can use Xlookup to find any data to the left. And the second question is, if lookup can search both left and right, what happens if the lookup value isn't found? So put your answers in the comment section. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe.